4 steps to start your fashion collection. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Belinda. I'm a technical fashion designer from London, but my company is now based in LA, and I provide technical design services for independent fashion brands and small designers. If I can get you all to turn off your phones, close your other tabs, and get rid of any distractions, and we'll get right into it. If you've not already, say hi in the chat. I just want to see how many people I have in attendance and see who you all are. If you have any questions as we go along, just let me know, put them in the chat. I'm going to leave some time at the end for questions. So if for some reason I miss your question, I'll come back to it, or you can ask me again at the end when it's time for questions. All right, and we're going to have some surprise stuff at the end, so stick around for that. But I want to ask you a few questions first. Have you ever wanted to start your own collection? I want to know why you're coming to this workshop and what you want to learn. Do you want to launch a brand? Is that something that you've struggled to do in the past? And I particularly want to know, why haven't you finished your designs yet? What has really been stopping you from getting everything finalized? Let me know, and we can answer these in the end if we've not gone over these in the workshop. So, do any of these sound like you? You want to be able to design without having to become the art genius of our generation, or just, amazingly skilled at drawing. You've tried to design an entire collection, but the pieces just didn't quite work together. Do you wish that there was a formula you could just follow? I've heard a lot of these comments before from clients in the past. So I've put together this presentation based on these common problems that I've heard. So here's what we're going to go over today. The first step to starting your collection is your range. Second step is materials. Third step, we're going to do pricing. And then the fourth step is your plan. So by the end of this workshop, we'll have gone through this whole roadmap of how to plan your entire collection. We're going to complete the worksheet I've made for you all, which I hope you've all downloaded okay, by the way. The link's below the video if you still need it. And once you've completed this, you'll have each piece in your collection mapped out, what it's going to look like, materials you're going to be using, what colors each piece will be in, and prices for each item as well. So this whole collection plan. Before we start, I will quickly tell you my story so you know properly who I am and how I got here and why I'm telling you all of this stuff. My first job in fashion when I was 15, I worked at this wholesale place in London, and they sold evening wear dresses. And my job was to cut out all these tiny swatches of fabric in little circles and staple them onto the right cards. It was so long and it was so repetitive, but it was a great start. And after that, I left school when I was 16. I did a diploma in fashion design, and I've been working in the industry since then. I got a proper bachelor's design degree in fashion design, and I got a job working for a big retailer in London. And yeah, like I said, since then I've been working as a designer and a technical designer, creating tech packs. So I spent a lot of time with small brand owners, and I've had a lot of time to hear about what the struggles are when you're trying to get started on your own. So where do we start? I want you to open up the worksheet I've given you. Open the sheet, save another copy of this if you've not already. And before we jump into lesson 1, let's start by just adding your brand name to the top of the sheet. So you can see where I've got the 2 green boxes. I've put space for your brand name there and space for whatever you want to actually name this collection that you're going to start with. So just fill in those first 2 boxes. All right, lesson 1. So the first step is range. And your range is the collection of designs that you're going to present and sell together. So a collection is basically what a range is. And collections are often sold by season. For example, fall, winter, or spring, summer. Bigger stores put out new ranges every few weeks. Some brands like Zara, really high fashion brands, they put out new ranges even every single week. Smaller brands often just have maybe 4 collections a year, or maybe even just 2 collections a year. You don't need to get so crazy. And there's no law saying you have to release collections by season if you don't want to. It can just be easier to sell this way. So people are used to shopping as the seasons change, and boutiques will buy new pieces from brands at the beginning of every season. And as a startup, all you need to worry about for now is actually creating your first collection and getting it out there. Only once you've made it and sold it do you need to worry about the next collection. So for now, let's just think about this, the first one that you're going to put out. So why does your collection need a plan? You want to plan your range out before you start designing each individual piece. And this is because you want to make sure that you've got the most commercial mix of styles possible. At the end of the day, your collection is meant to be bought by your customers. It's not, an art project just for you that's just going to be looked at by you for fun. You've got to be able to sell this stuff. So we want to combine different designs and different styles in the most sellable and attractive way possible, which is why we've got a plan. If I'm talking too fast, by the way, please just shout me out in the chat and I will slow down or pause, okay? All right, so range width and range depth. So there are 2 main ways to plan your range. And as I said before, the word range just means your collection. So there's range width and there's range depth to think about. And the range width means how many different styles you're going to have. So that might be, for example, 2 t-shirt styles, 2 shirt styles, 2 dress styles. For example, let's say you're doing a women's clothing collection. Or for example, maybe you're doing a range of laptop bags, in which case the different styles might be 1 briefcase, 1 shoulder bag, and 1 rucksack. So that, in this example, the range width would be 3 different types of bag. Then the other variable we have is range depth. And the range depth explains how many variants each design is going to have. And the design variance just means basically how many sizes or how many colors that the style is going to come in. So let's say each style comes in 6 different fabric colors and 6 different floral printed variations each. So 6 plus 6 is 12. So that's 12 variations, which makes a very deep range, right? And another example, let's say each design, using the first example from before, 2 t-shirts, 2 shirts, and 2 dresses, if they all come in the same single one color, so just one variant, that's going to be a very shallow range, not a deep range. I want you to plan the range width and depth strategically. And my suggestion to you is to just keep things really, really simple. Focus on either a wide range or a deep range, just one or the other. Until you're the next Donna Karan or Calvin Klein or whoever, or just, you have your brand established and you're making money, I suggest that you keep the range tight. This is firstly for the benefit of your customers. It's easier for them to understand your brand if they can just see 5 options. It's simple and they can just get it. And that's much easier than if they can see 100 options, which is way too much to digest when people just don't know who you are. They don't get your brand and it's really overwhelming. And 100 options could just be 10 designs in 10 different colors, right? So it's easy to get to 100, but I'm suggesting that's way too much for your first collection. You really want customers to see what you're about and what your brand is, which means you have a chance at them remembering who you are, which is what you want, right? If somebody doesn't immediately get it when looking at your range, they're not going to remember you and they're definitely not going to buy anything from you. And it's difficult to get the design and the production stuff right. There's a lot of moving parts and there's a lot of things that can go wrong. And I don't say that to discourage you. I just want to make you aware so you can be prepared and therefore get it right. So basically, keep it simple. Now, I want you to have a think about the kinds of products you want to create. Some things may lend themselves to coming in many different colors. For example, button-down shirts are usually offered by shops in only a couple of styles. Something like a regular or tailored or something they normally call it. But then each of those shirt styles is then offered in several different colors. They'll have several different stripe patterns that it comes in. Now think about the last shoe store that you went into. There are going to be a ton of different shoe styles. Each shoe design or styles normally only offered in 2 or 3 colors when you think about going to a shoe shop, right? So think about the type of products you want to offer and whether it makes sense to go for a wide range or a deep range. Okay, so go to your workbook and I want you to start by listing out each of the styles that you're thinking about creating. So obviously there's no right or wrong answer here. You can do as many or as little as you'd like. I just want you to remember what I said about going wide or deep. And let's start by listing the styles out so you don't accidentally kind of create more than you can handle. Less is more here. So it doesn't matter if you've not finalized a name for each design that you want to create. We can just start by kind of writing down our ideas right now. So first column on the left-hand side is where you're going to write this. Name doesn't matter, like I said, it doesn't matter too much. We're just in the planning stages and you can come back and edit this at any time. So let's just make up some names for now. I've just written style number 1, style number 2, but you can be a bit more descriptive and just, write something like round neck t-shirt or whatever it is that you want to name each style. Important thing is just to write something down in the left-hand column for the style. Okay, next step, materials. So let's get into some fabric information. I'm a big fan of this topic because I don't think people realize quite how important it is. Your material choices are huge and they'll really influence not only the quality of your product, but how it actually feels when people try it on as well. And different fabrics can make the same design look completely different. So I don't want to get too off topic and spend hours teaching you all about different types of fabric. The lesson here is just that your fabric choice is important. And now I'm going to show you a kind of a cheat way that you can get this right. Like I said, the whole topic of fabric is huge, so I'm just going to kind of condense a few things down for you. Have a look at the list of styles that you just wrote down in that left-hand column. And now think about similar products that you've got in your own wardrobe and just think about what materials these are made from. I want you to pick out some materials in your mind that you want to use for each style. So you can super quickly research this, like I just said, by looking in your own wardrobe, or you can do some more research in the shops, find some things that you like, and just take a look at what the fabric is that they're using. So if you find the same page for the product online, it should say what material it is that they're using. And if you still need more help sort of figuring out the right names for the fabrics that you want to use, you can always take something that you've found in a shop or found in your wardrobe, just take it to a fabric store and ask them what the name of the fabric is. You just need to know that the material is going to be appropriate for the type of style that you want to create. And the easiest, quickest way to do this is just by looking at what's already out there. And that way, you know it's really suitable, you know it's a spot-on choice, and you know you're going down the right path. So let's go back into our workbook. I want you to list a fabric or a material and any variants of that for each design. So that is going to be listed across the top. And as well, you can also list out at the top a color or a pattern variant that you want to have your designs in. So like I said before, the wider the range, the less variants you'll have, and the narrower your range, so the less styles you have, the more variants you're going to create for each material right now. And right now, off the top of your head, if you have no idea of any fabric names that you can put down, like I said, just try and imagine your wardrobe right now, and you can use the description of the item that you're thinking of instead of the fabric name. So right now, if you're just like, oh, I want to use the olive green bomber jacket from my wardrobe, I want to use that fabric, just write that in the top as your fabric name. And you can just write color 1, color 2, color 3, or if you have got further than that, you can write down the actual colors that you want each fabric to be available in. So in my example, across the top, I've just written fabric type 1/color 1, fabric type 1/color 2, fabric type 2/color 1, and you get the idea. I just want you to remember the lesson we did about range depth and not go too crazy here if you have a lot of different styles. Okay? And again, if I'm going too quickly here or too slowly, just shout me out in the chat. All right, step 3, pricing. So I want you to take a step back now from thinking about your designs and start having a think about prices. The sooner you have an idea of what price you can get for a design like yours, the sooner you can budget for your materials and other costs. We want to pick a target price for each design that you're setting on. So this is the end price a customer will pay when buying your product in store. We only need a rough number here. It doesn't have to be set in stone right this second, but we want to establish this now so we can put it on your worksheet and you can start to budget the costs for each design. So start by thinking about the brands that you'd like to be similar to. Are there any stores you know of that you want to be stocked in? Think about what they charge for similar items. Think about as well, where is it that your customer shops? Who are you selling to and where do they shop? How much do they spend for the kind of design that you want to be selling, right? I want you to go back into your worksheet and write down a price for each design at the end of each row, okay? So like I said, think about similar brands, the stores and the customers for your product. This is super important to get right. So your homework for this workshop is going to be to verify the prices we've just set by doing some real life research. Right now, we can just use your intuition to start. So for now, just write down your best guess and keep your materials in mind as well that you've just written down. So if you're using a very expensive and high-end material like leather or silk or something like that, you can charge a bit more. And if you're using a more basic material like t-shirt jersey or a very plain cotton, then obviously you're going to want to make the price a little bit lower. The main influence on your prices, as I mentioned before, will be the customer and the brand and the store. There's usually a rough price that's dictated by the market you're selling in, which is why I so strongly recommend you do some research after the workshop to make sure you've got this right. If you don't do this, you can really shoot yourself in the foot because customers just won't buy from you if you're too expensive. They kind of won't get it. And they won't buy from you if you're too cheap either, because they'll be wondering, you know, what's wrong with this design? Is it terrible fabric? Is it going to be really bad quality? Will it just get ruined after one wash? So as you can see in my example, I've listed a price for each item in the column on the far right. Really simple. Like I said, just put your best guess in for now, and after the workshop, you can research this a bit more. I just want you to fill in the worksheet with me now so you can kind of get an idea of how this whole process works. Then you can come back to it or start a new worksheet every time you want to create a collection. You can just use this to plan your own outline each time. Okay, step 4, plan. So now we get to the best part, which is deciding which style goes in which material in your initial plan. So now that you've chosen some fabrics, I want to give you a word of advice on how to use different fabrics. So if your type of style that you've listed is the same, you can use the same fabric again. So I'll try and explain that a bit better. For example, a t-shirt fabric isn't going to work for a winter coat, let's say, right? You have to think about the function of the design and how it's worn. More often than not, different styles have different fabrics that are going to be appropriate. So in the same vein, you can't use a winter coat fabric for a t-shirt, right? It would be really uncomfortable and it would just look really weird. However, you can double up on fabrics if you have multiple styles that are the same type. So for example, if you've got long sleeve t-shirts, short sleeve t-shirts, and a t-shirt dress, then yeah, definitely use the same fabric multiple times across your range. It's just something to be aware of. Another important consideration is fabric and sewing minimums. Let me know in the chat if this is something you've heard of or not. I don't know about you guys if this will be something that you've come across before. But when you're ready to go into production and you finish your designs, different suppliers and different contractors will have different minimums. And a minimum is a fashion industry term for minimum order quantity, or MOQ they call it. And this just means the lowest order quantity that a supplier will accept. So the lowest amount that they'll let you order. So for example, a fabric supplier might have a minimum of 50 meters of fabric. That's like the least amount you can buy. Or a button supplier might have a minimum of 50 buttons, for example. So we want to preempt the minimums issue. If you're new to this, you're probably only going to be producing your collection in smaller quantities, right? Because you don't yet know how much you can sell. So this might be a smaller amount than the MOQ of a particular contractor. So I want you to be smart and group together as many of your styles and fabrics as possible. So for example, if your range consists of 5 different jeans designs, you could use the same fabric and therefore try and get around minimums that way. Or let's say you are doing t-shirts, long sleeve, short sleeves, and t-shirt dresses. You can use the same fabrics again and again across different styles. So you may want to go back and change some of the styles that you've listed out in your plan to be more similar to each other, or to be kind of, I call it the same type of style, so that you can reuse fabrics as much as possible. But we'll go back to that at the end. So go back to your worksheet now and add a check mark to indicate which design comes in which fabric and color combination. Again, remember to only use the right type of fabric with the right type of design or style, and either go deep in the range as we talked about, or go wide with the range with only a few styles in many different fabrics and colors, okay? So just one or the other. And you can see in my example, I've gone quite deep with the range because I've got a lot of different colors and a lot of different variations of fabrics, but I've only filled in check marks for 4 styles. Now I want you to add up the subtotals for each style and for each fabric. So along the bottom row, you'll have a total for each fabric variation, and the column second to the right, you can add a total for how many variations each style comes in. So here's my example. You can see I've added the numbers along the bottom and down the column second from the right. So Once you've added your check marks to your range plan, take a step back and analyze what you've done. See how many times you've used each fabric variation with each style. Are there any things that have only been used once? And if there are, can you get rid of any of these? I just want you to take a look at the plan again and really ask yourself if there's anything non-essential that you can get rid of. You kind of want to keep this as small and as simple as you can. Going back to what I said before, you want to make sure you reused all the fabrics as much as you can so you can get around minimums. And you also want to keep it tight just for design continuity. Let me see if I can zoom in at all. Okay, there we go. So yeah, like I said, you want to keep the range as small as possible because you want it to look cohesive, you want to look professional, you want it to look tightly edited, and you want people to be able to understand what your brand is about. It's fairly common to offer more basic styles in many different colors. And it's more common to offer more complex or more expensive styles in just 1 or 2 colors. So if you think about last time you went into H&M, for example, they have those circular racks. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? That have like 25 different t-shirts on, and all of the t-shirts are the same. It just comes in 25 different colors and they're really cheap. If you think about a style more along the lines of, you know, a really expensive evening dress or a leather jacket, for example, it's a more expensive item and they usually only make it in 1 color, maybe 2 colors, right? Okay, so let's recap. So we've gone over the right way to plan your range and why you need to do it. I want you to use the worksheet to strategize the most commercial mix of styles and variants as you can. And this is going to help you sell more in the long term as your range is going to look much better put together. Sorry, that sentence doesn't make sense, does it? Your range will look much more put together. And you'll be saving money on materials and in production because you've been smart and you've grouped together as many styles as you can. So we've gone over as well how to set the right price for each design. So you now know to research your competitors and any other stores that you want to be stocked in and use those prices that have already been established in the market to guide your product price. And this way you can maximize sales, you're making sure you've got the price spot on, and you'll have a number in your mind as well that you know you have to work with when producing your design, so you can create a budget for yourself going forward. We've gone over how to choose the right materials without knowing much about fabrics. No need to get a degree in textile engineering. Just use your own wardrobe, go to some shops, and use that to guide you. It's so important to get the fabric right so that customers get a good first impression when they try on your products or if they just feel them in their hand. And that's really a super quick and simple way to get it right, is just to kind of cheat and be inspired by what is already out there, and you can't go wrong. By the end of this worksheet, once you've filled it all in, you should have a plan of what your collection will look like. This is so important to do like I said, because once you have this outline, then you can kind of get into the weeds and create the details that you want to have on each product, but you still have this overview that's kind of steering you on the right path. So let's go back with why you came to this workshop today. You've either been struggling to start your collection, you don't know how to launch a brand or launch an online boutique, or you kind of got stuck in the design process and you couldn't get it finished on your own. Okay, it's really easy. I'm gonna let you in on a secret that you can do this. It's not hard at all. All you need to do is stop stalling and start making this stuff happen. You don't need any advantages. You don't need special skills. You don't need tools, secret tools. You don't need expensive resources. You just need to know what the steps are, and you need to know what the system is. So people think it's very difficult and that you need loads of education, a design background, blah, blah, blah. But really, anyone can do this. So I want to introduce my solution to you guys, which I have been spending such a long time creating for you guys. I work with a lot of small brands and independent designers, like I said. So I get to hear from a lot of people exactly what they're struggling with and why they can't figure out exactly how to get their designs together. So I've created this step-by-step process that will help you create your clothing designs or any kind of product designs in just 5 days. So in the course, you've got 5 modules, 21 video lessons, you've got cheat sheets, workbooks, spreadsheets, and templates. So everything is really actionable, and it's really easy to kind of learn from each lesson, fill in the workbook or read the cheat sheet or whatever it is from each lesson. And as you progress through the course, you will basically come out with complete designs, fully sketched out. All your details are going to be on there. They'll be professionally drawn. They'll be professionally put together. And like I said, you don't have to kind of be really artistic. You don't need to be really talented. You just need to know how to get from A to B, which is basically what the course is. So module 1 includes, first of all, we go over today's industry climate and how that affects what you're going to do. We go over how you can define your customer and how you can use that to sell. We will establish the right market for your brand. I'll show you how to look at the competition and analyze what they're doing and make sure that you're doing something different, something better. And we'll go over as well how you can not just start another brand, but how you can really start a movement and start something with a personality, with a following that people can really get behind. Then we have module 2, which is all about planning. I will go into more detail, similar to this lesson, on how you can really strategize your collection. We will talk about how to create a direction with your designs, how to make everything look really cohesive and put together. I've got some lessons on trend versus quality, which are 2 very kind of opposite concepts, but both are very important. I've got some more lessons on pricing your designs, which, like I said before, is really, really important to get right, because if you get it wrong, you're just not going to get those sales. And I've got some more worksheets for you on how to budget those costs. So once you know what your price is going to be for each item, you need to know how much of that price is going to be allocated towards, let's say, the cost of your materials, how much will be allocated towards the cost of actually making the item, etc., etc. So I'll show you how to do all that budgeting stuff. Then we have module 3, which is the materials module. So I'll show you how to assess different materials, what to look for, how it influences your product, and another cheat sheet for you as well. And then module 4, which is kind of the most, I guess, kind of fun module. We will do construction, decorative techniques. I'll show you how to select the right types of prints for the right type of materials, and we'll go over your labels and your packaging. And then module 5, which is called Finalize, I'm going to show you how to actually draw out your designs. So like I said, you don't have to be artistic, you just have to know the hack, basically. I'm going to show you how to professionally present your line to buyers. We will go over how to protect your designs, so you don't have copyright issues, you don't have people stealing your designs. And then I'm also going to introduce you to production as well, which is the next stage after you've finished your designs. And I've also created for you a free bonus, the 15 most popular fabrics that I see people using day to day. And this cheat sheet is going to enable you to choose your fabrics in about 2 minutes. My summary kind of boils down my years and years of fabric knowledge into a really easy cheat sheet. You can kind of skim through it, and I've listed pros and cons along each side, each fabric, and I've listed what products it's most suitable for. So you don't need to kind of study up what fabrics are going to be right, what fabrics are going to be wrong. You can just use the cheat sheet and steal my knowledge, basically. I see a lot of people really struggling with how to understand fabric and what fabrics to use and all this other nonsense. And I just kind of really wanted to help by creating something that just makes it easy. So you can just look at what product you want to create, and I've basically suggested which fabric is going to be the best for that type or style of design. So cheat sheet is super easy to use, anyone can understand it. And like I said, it's one of my favorite resources from the course because I know it's so useful for people. So this cheat sheet is just on offer for this course launch, which is this week. Now, best part, I have a fast action bonus, so you have 20% off the course in the next half an hour. So link is below the video, and I want you in a sec to ask me any questions you have about the course or about what we've done in the workshop. And hopefully you'll have enough time to get any questions in and have a quick look at the course. So link is below, like I said. And think about how much hiring a designer is going to cost you. Probably pretty expensive. I would think at least 4 figures if you want to design a collection with a few different pieces in. If you wanted to hire a full package agency to design and produce your entire collection, it's probably going to cost you upwards of 5 figures because you'll have a whole team of people working on your designs. And if you really want to go crazy and take an in-person college class or a whole in-person course, it's going to cost you in the US, I think it's like 35 grand or more. So These options are too much, I think. I've put together a kind of a way that you can just get the steps done really quickly. I don't want you to become a creative genius, like I said. I just want to get you quickly from A to B. So the total value of all the video lessons, or your slides, or your worksheets, cheat sheets, spreadsheets, I've calculated it as $1,200. But I'm charging just $255 for the course if you pay in full, or you can pay with 3 payments of $95. And after this launch week, the course price is going to be going up by $100. So after this week, I'm going to add some new material to this course based off of feedbacks from my brand new students who've just enrolled. So therefore, the price is going to be going up at the end of this launch week. And obviously, once you've bought all the updates to the course, you'll get for free. So the sooner you buy, the better of a deal you're going to get. So yeah, for the next 30 minutes, you've got your 20% off. So use the link below to enroll either for $204 or for 3 payments of $76, okay? And that's just for the next 30 minutes, maybe slightly more, depending on exactly when I set the clock, but it's about 30 minutes. Okay, so let's get to the questions. Let me know in the chat what questions you have about the course, or if you have any questions about the workshop. Was there anything confusing in there? Was there anything that needs clarification? I'm just going to pause my microphone sound for 2 seconds so I can take a little quick drink of water. Okay, be right back. I'm just scrolling back through the chat to make sure that I've not missed any questions. Can anyone tell me if you think the worksheet I just made for you guys will help you actually plan your range and put it together? Okay, so Chris is saying, can the worksheet be used as a base whenever starting or planning a new collection? Yeah, that's correct, exactly. So make a new copy of the worksheet every time you want to start a collection, and you can just use the same method again and again to plan your collection each time, right? So remember the width and the range depth, go one way or the other, try and reuse your materials as much as possible. And yeah, that's pretty much the basis for planning your range. Okay, next question. Do you know a website where I could find information about all the existing fashion fairs to meet buyers? Yes, there's a really big trade show in Vegas called Magic. I can't think of the website off the top of my head, but if you just Google fashion trade show Vegas Magic, you'll find it. It's called Magic, and it's every year, twice a year. It's in February and August, I think. And yeah, it's absolutely ginormous. There's tons of booths there. So like designers exhibit in their booths and buyers walk around the show and stop in all the booths, and they'll stop off and look at what everybody has basically. And sometimes they'll place orders actually at the show, and sometimes they'll get back in touch with you later to place orders at another date. So yeah, definitely check out Magic if you're in the US. And there's some similar ones in Europe, and there's a few in London as well. I don't know where you're based. Okay, what else have we got? Does anyone have any questions about the course itself? Okay. Well, if that is everything I can help with, you guys all have my email address. You can email me whenever you like if you ever get stuck on anything. But yeah, let me know how you get on using the worksheet. I would love to know. I see one more question. When do you anticipate the manufacturing course will be ready? To be honest with you, it will probably be quite a while before it's ready. I only have time to create courses outside of my 9 to 5, which is all my client work. So it takes me a really, really long time to create these courses, and it's so much work as well to create all the videos. It's difficult to do. So it might be a little while, but all of you guys will be on my email list now. So you will most definitely get an email when it's ready. Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming, everyone. Please do check out the course. And if you have any questions on it, if you have any comments, send me an email. I'd be happy to help you out. And yeah, thanks again for coming. Have a great day, everyone.